Yo, sorry. There's a black screen for a minute. How are you doing, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Fun Speculation. Mav here, as always. And yeah, another MavCast. I said I wasn't going to be live again until Thursday's FSP. But, shit keeps happening. News keeps coming out. Interviews keep happening. Games media acting a fool. Um, and I got to stick up for Jez a little bit here. Uh, because he's like for some reason getting attacked from multiple different people for no reason whatsoever. And also, other news actually happened today too. Some of it I'm going to reserve for tomorrow's FSP show. But yeah, it's big things to talk about for sure. Um, and I think really a lot of people in the games media is embarrassing themselves. But before we get into all of this stuff, actually, I'm going to switch to this one now because I'm going to bring that up in a second. And shout out to BT Maverick. I stole your tweet, BT Maverick, your quote tweet. If you end up listening to this, I actually will be posting it up on the screen also because of the clip that you captured, which I thought was interesting and very brought my attention to another person that's for some reason attacking Jez. But shout out to Back from the Dead. What's up? What's up, Shapeshifter? How's it going? Punty, how are you doing? Void Rat, how are you doing as well? Isaac Hayes, what is going on, dude? Hope you're doing well. Like Squad CEO, what's up? Hope you're doing well. See, Pal Xbox for life. Yo, yo, yo. I guess everybody I see so far. Silver Lab guy, how's it going? Carlton, yo, how's it going? Um, yeah, it's weird energy, man. Weird energy. And I think it comes from the fact that, you know, and I've thought this for a while, like he does more work actually than most of these games media journalists do, like for sure. Like, I mean, going out there digging for information constantly, going out there and trying to get these interviews, going out there trying to inform people. And sometimes he has opinions. He has this like reputation for some reason because the first attack I saw was actually from I think it's Avellone is how you say the last name. Who's a former writer in gaming, who wrote some of the amazing games, but he went on a major attack spree on Jez the other day. Um, for no reason at all. It was whatsoever, and I'll bring that up too. Even though some of what he said was like just crazy toxic, and it was I don't even see anything that prompted it, but for some reason he was just going after him. But yeah, for some reason, like Jez is getting this like reputation from a lot of those people of like just being this super Xbox shill, and yeah, he loves Xbox, favorite platform. He covers it, Windows Central, obviously, all this stuff. He comes at things most times from like a positive angle, but he's also been very critical of things many times. And guess what? He gets lambasted from the Xbox community when he does that a lot as well. So it's like he can't win either way. And I can actually give some sentiment to that from our perspective. Like anytime we criticize Xbox or anything, you have Xbox guys in the chat just like coming after us like crazy, you know. Any of my opinions where I'm like, I didn't like this. Like, for example, a big one was when Tango GameWorks got shut down. Or like Starfield 30 frames at launch, things like that. We like things that we say, hey, I don't think that's cool, or we don't like that. People give us shit for actually saying what we like, what we want. Um, and just the same thing. He's actually been very negative at times. He's actually been very critical at times. But he's also been very positive and optimistic at times. And like it just I don't know. It seems like a guy to me that just says what he feels and thinks, and also based on the information that he's been given, right? And he's is for some reason these people are trying to put some kind of reputation on the guy. And hearing him speak about some of this stuff, like he did a solo stream yesterday, and I was in his chat, and he's like, he thinks he needs to be a better person himself. He thinks, that he could do better. I saw him reply that to somebody else's post regarding this interview that he got, that like hopefully one of the other big sites will get more time in the future. I'm like, man, like the guy is super humble when it comes to a lot of this stuff, and he takes criticism to heart and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it's unwarranted and unfair and unjust, and especially with this interview that he got with the new Microsoft gaming CEO Asha Sharma and Matt Booty. How you doing, Nathan Hardman? How are you, sir? And everybody in the chat, thank you all for being here. But I want to get first. We'll get to how like yeah we've had major shakeup at Xbox. It comes with emotion. It comes with thoughts. It comes with feelings, uncertainties. We're unclear on what's going on or what the new direction's going to be. So there's anxiety there. There's nervousness. Curiosity for me is my main thing. Like, I just want to watch and enjoy the ecosystem in the meantime and see how all this plays out. I want to give people the fair chance to actually see what they're going to do and not prejudge what they're going to do, because the reality is right now, nobody knows anything about what's actually going to happen. People have shared their opinions. Many people have jumped to conclusions right now across the board. We talked yesterday about the whole Sarah Bond scapegoat situation. And my thoughts on that, I think people are kind of mislabeling the fact that her employees actually the ones speaking about that stuff, not the executives themselves. So it's very interesting what all these dynamic things that have been happening the last week, ever since this was announced, since last Friday. It's only been, I guess, 5 days now. So it's like everybody's just like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Xbox is dead again. Xbox is going to bring back exclusivity. Xbox is going to do this. Xbox is going to do that. Honestly, right now, I don't even think Asha Sharma knows what they're going to do 100%. They only know what their current plan was and is in the short term, because whatever they've been doing for the short to near term, I think it's still going to play out because it's stuff they've been working on for a very long time. But it'll be a while before we actually get to see what the effects are of any decisions that she is implementing and changes that are going to happen under her watch, because as the article that we'll get into from Jez Corden says, they are very much in the learning phase right now and trying to see exactly what they need to do to get things in a different direction, according to her, and bring back the return to Xbox, whatever that means. But yeah, nobody knows shit right now. That's just the reality. And I don't think we should expect to know shit right now, because everything is one thing that we know, that the leadership matters, right? One thing is we know the leadership matters, but we shouldn't expect to know how this is all going to play out yet. They have to get in there and they have to do things and see what's going to happen. And like anybody that is pretending to know what the result is, whether positive or negative, right now is just kind of giving the most optimistic hope and hoping that it comes to fruition and trying to talk it into existence because they believe it themselves, or being the ultra negative and thinking everything is the worst case scenario all the time and everything is shit, everything bad's going to happen because of this. And the reality is maybe it's somewhere in between, and it could be net positive down the road, could be a negative down the road, but we'll have to wait and actually see what happens. But we are not going to learn anything right now about this. We're not going to learn anything about this right now. It's just the reality of the situation, right? It's too early, way too early. I think the first day on the job was yesterday officially as CEO, and we expect to know that, hey, this is the current actual 100% clear, definitive path that they are taking. That's not how it works, right? But yeah, the weird energy is also coming out and attacking other people, like Jez. I've gotten to talk to Jez a few times. Like, he seems like he's always been cool to me. Like, I don't really understand what people have against the guy, personally. Um, I don't, I wouldn't say that we're friends or anything like that necessarily, but we've talked a few times that like it seems cool, you know. Been respectful. He's usually respectful to people on social media and Twitter and stuff like that as well. Even many times when they're not being to him, you know. And I can't say the same thing for people like IGN and stuff like that, right? But let's get into some of the stuff that I'm actually talking about here. First, actually, I'm gonna go back a few days because I got to bring this up here. Um, and this was from, and I was in Jez's chat the other day asking him like, why does this guy hate you? You know, because like and he's like, I don't know, no clue, you know. But this was Chris Avellone, I don't know, if it's Avellone or Avellone or whatever. I'm gonna bring this up here. The first attack of three. This has been three now. Now this one is more targeted and very pointed, right? The other two are more like reek of jealousy. This one seems like personal for some reason. Here we go. This is Chris Avellone speaking about Jez had made a tweet. Jez had made this tweet that just says, I'm told there's currently no changes planned to the current Xbox Next Gen strategy for now. I'll have more info ASAP. Okay? They pretty much also said the same thing in one of their talking points, corpo speak, letters, interview memo things or whatever, right? Web Dave, what's up, bro? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. BT Maverick, I got your tweet coming up in a little bit, man. Got your tweet coming up in a little bit, bro. We're gonna talk about it. Chris says, I, Xbox Shill Supreme, was told nothing and am now here to reassure you that nothing is changing despite the changes that have occurred as a result of the current strategy, calling him Xbox Shill Supreme. Then he says, a little advice to companies, if you leave your shills in the dark, it means they have to work harder to leave everyone else in the dark. It's just cruel. Now that seems okay, for, like he's just going after Jez, whatever, for innocent enough, I guess. Kind of targeted for no reason, out of the blue, out of nowhere, coming from somebody that was a very respected writer in gaming. It seems kind of pointed and kind of strange targeting on Jez for just reporting something that he was told, right? But if you go to the comments, it is actually worse. This person says, I'm gonna make my I'm gonna get rid of some of this shit so you guys can see a little bit better. There we go. This person says, if dick riding were an Olympic sport, Jez would win the gold. And Chris says, if milking and utter of dicks were an Olympic sport, Jez would be the only one competing. Well, like, what did he do to this man? Like, where's this energy coming from? Just for saying like things like that? That's very strange. I have to call, like, I think mental health is a serious issue. And I would actually have to say, I hope this man gets the help he needs, because getting that upset and targeting somebody, calling them these names and all this stuff over simply writing about a brand is kind of strange. Jez is a little lying bitch and always will be, says Bingo. Chris Avellone says he refuses to be number 2 at anything. Again, wow. Where is this coming from? This is, again, a former... And Jez said himself that this guy wrote some of his favorite games of all time, and he has no idea why he feels this way about him. This guy says his more info is generic PR statements, and he likes to act like he's getting some hot insider scoops. Chris Avellone says, a Jez hot inside scoop only happens when he's on the porcelain throne. What the fuck? Why is it, like... This guy says, where did he hurt you, Chris? He says, in his reporting of news. So again, he's just like, doesn't like his reporting, so he's going this hard at the guy. without Jez like coming back at him or anything. Like it's just really fucking weird. A block from Jez frequently results in colors being brighter, an uplift in mood, and plus 30 to spotlight checks. This guy says, "I'm allergic to his brand of truth," he says, commonly referred to as lies. I let's see here. It's just fucking weird energy, man. That was the first attack, right? And it seems very strange. Very strange. So that was that. But there's more. There's definitely more. So I'm gonna get into. I'm gonna get to the Windows Central article in a bit because I actually want to read this interview. Okay, but Jez was granted an interview, a short interview. Yeah, and I think he had made a comment that he had like 13 minutes to do this interview. And this was like technically a second interview because right after the announcement came in, there was a interview that Asha Sharma had done with Variety, right? And it was very short, very softball, just some PR shit going there, just an announcement kind of thing. And then as acting CEO, I guess, yesterday when this came out, Jez's interview was like the first interview with Asha Sharma and Matt Booty. And wow, it seems like, I actually like the time he had, the questions he asked, I thought it was like fine. You know what I mean? I don't know what people expect. And I was listening to Boom with Hargeet and Kayasante on there and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of agree with like Boom on this as opposed to like Hargeet and Kayasante, which I like both of those guys, awesome guys, but like I don't know if there's like an unreasonable expectation out there about learning anything right now from people, from these interviews or from the things that like they're going to say something. They're going to do some kind of interviews and things like that, and we'll probably see a couple more at some point. But we're not going to find out any information right now because I honestly don't think they have the answers right now. Plus, they wouldn't give it to us anyway. It's going to be corpo speak stuff. It's going to be stuff that maybe we want to hear and hopefully some insight into just hopefully the way they think and how is their corpo speak. And I know that sounds maybe a little stupid or whatever, but how do they translate their messaging to fans in the corpo speak way? I think that can also be an interesting thing to look at and curious thing to see is how do they message and how do they talk to us? What is their tone? How confident do they seem in their messaging and with their direction? And how can we peer through that kind of stuff to kind of get a glimpse into maybe some real meaning behind it? Maybe there's nothing to see. I think we can't really learn much right now at all. Way too early, right? Yeah, he worked on several games like Knights of the Old Republic 2. I think one of the Fallout games, I forget which one. I mean, several games. Yeah, so the first thing I had seen after this Jez interview came out that was targeted again was from Christopher Dring. Now, we all know Christopher Dring. He's written many kind of negative pointed articles towards Xbox over the years. And then when PlayStation does some of the similar things, nothing gets said about a lot of that stuff. He's come out and said stuff like Xbox. He heard from just talking to people at events that they were moving away from investment into Game Pass. Now, this was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then guess what? That was followed by Xbox bringing more games into Game Pass than ever before. and actually increasing the amount of output into Game Pass and the amount of third-party Game Pass deals and the amount of day one games going into Game Pass and also the amount of first-party output into Game Pass. So he was just blatantly flat out wrong on that. He also had talked about how third parties were questioning why even put games on Xbox, and he thinks that third parties were going to stop doing that. Followed by we had more third-party game announcements from big franchises coming to Xbox than we had seen before that had skipped Xbox many times in the past. One mainly is also Final Fantasy. So just generally it had negative articles pointing a certain light on things. And then I remember there was like an exclusive game or something at one point, critical of Xbox for it, and PlayStation did the same thing, not critical, kind of like a Ryan McCaffrey situation. So interesting, right? And it seems like when only there's something out there, it's only worth writing if it's Xbox, if he feels negative about it. Right, and that's kind of the thing. That's Christopher Dring's history. He's also done good interviews in the past. He's also done some good writing in the past. But what started to become clear is, man, there's this like media jealousy, and I think it comes towards, and this has been going on for a long time, and I think it kind of started with IGN and some of the other big gaming sites, towards the attention that either smaller publications or content creators were getting. Now, Jez crosses both worlds. Jez does podcasting and has one of, if not the most popular Xbox podcast now with Rand, and also does as a writer for Windows Central, or more than a writer. I think he's actually now just complete charge of the gaming side. I could be wrong. I don't know his exact title. But whatever it is, executive editor maybe, or something like that, editor in chief of gaming. I don't fucking know, right? But whatever Jez's title is, he's the gaming guy pretty much at this point at Windows Central. Does more than that as well. Covers other things, but he crosses both worlds. His content creation, writer. He's said in the past that he kind of considers himself a blogger, right? That he just started a blog and just kind of like took off from there. But these games media are like, oh, we didn't get the first big interview, It's what the energy is coming across. The Christopher Drink says that sinking feeling you get as a journalist when you get a good interview and they just say random bullshit at you. Basically just saying that, hey, that was just shit. The interview that Jez did, just like, what was the point? It kind of came across like negative. My quote to him was like, yeah, that reeks of jealousy. Like, would you have done a better job? Sure, you would have fucking loved to have that interview, Christopher Dring. Oh, I bet you would have, right? But then you're gonna go and like you're gonna actually point towards a negative tone towards somebody else's interview that they got because of the way that the people answered their questions, right? That's like weird, man. That's weird. So I had just said someone's jealous here, basically. That later on, Christopher Dring ended up deleting that post, but he had actually ended up saying more to other. I said someone's jealous he didn't get the first interview. I think somebody posted a picture or something that he had actually even replied to somebody else, and it was like another negative shot or something. I don't know where it is right now, but yeah, it's just reeks of jealousy, man. Reeks of jealousy, and it kind of fitting for the personality that this guy has shown before in the past, right? So that was one thing, and that one was just like kind of whatever. Just made a tweet about it. It wasn't like a huge thing, but then today, shout out to BT Maverick for sharing this. I'm kind of funny. Games. BT Maverick, shout out to you, bro. Had posted shots fired at Jez and Windows Central Gaming from Blessing. from Kind of Funny with a very poor take. I agree, this is a very poor take. These guys would have fucking loved to have this 13-minute interview. And I think Blessing shows it. But also calls out an interesting name here. An interesting name. Somebody that I just spoke about.
Wait some time.
Here's my beef, right?
Tell me.
You know, you had gamesindustry.biz. You have Bloomberg, Jason Schreier. You got the game business, Christopher Dring.
Yes.
You got you have IG.
Christopher Dring.
And you have a list of people that you can go to have that first big interview, big conversation, lay out like, all right, where are we at with Xbox? I don't know. I feel like the place that you went isn't the place that you go if you're trying to have like a good interview. If you're trying to get something that is
Windows Central? Jez?
Windows?
Not the place you go to get a good interview. That's a shot, you know?
Central. It has Windows in the title of the website.
Here's the deal.
I don't go to Jez for my fucking objective journalism about a big corporate shakeup at Xbox.
It's just a
don't piss me off.
Opening interview. There will be many more interviews in the next.
This is your first one.
6 months. It's just fine. There's nothing to be said.
We're gonna go to the person that's gonna make sure that they're okay with us saying nothing.
What do you want to do? Grill her on day one?
Ask questions that are good. Have somebody that's going to follow up. Have somebody that's going to ask questions that matter. Have somebody that's not going to fucking serve you the most softballs of questions. Have somebody that's going to give an objective fucking stance.
I'll get on the line with the crew. We'll get a hold and we'll get an interview for you.
I'm crashing out, Mike. Okay, it's all pissing me off today. I'm crashing out.
Talk to you.
That is so fucking weird energy, man. Like, dude, like, first off, they even have the audacious, crazy feeling, like Snowbike Mike said, that you're going to get anything actual relevant or any big time information on day fucking 1 of her being there. Like, really, like, that's just weird. Like, the expectation that you would have there is just absolutely asinine. Jez was granted 13 minutes to ask some questions, and I think actually did a pretty good job in getting some answers. Now, we can just say it's all corpo speak, and yeah, it probably is. But what do we expect? The fact that you actually think you're going to actually get some kind of definitive solution and answer for the next fucking however long at Xbox? She said in just an interview pretty much that she is just in the learning phase, and we'll get into that interview in a minute. But like, it's like he's like reading that interview, and it's like he's just angry at it. Like, why did you ask this softball question? Oh, you're just a shill. And again, I talked about how that kept getting labeled onto Jez many times before, and I see it all over the place in people's comments and stuff. But he's been very critical of Xbox. He's been very critical of Xbox many a times. He kind of like is back and forth on things a lot, depending on what he either hears or learns, or the direction that they're going. And it's strange to see somebody that I've been following now for years, actually, like that has been critical at times, been informational. Has done leaks. Had his opinions. Either some are wrong, some are right, some I agree with, some I don't, but is actually just giving their genuine thoughts. And I don't think that should ever be really questioned with him, because it seems obvious to me. But to have somebody like this come out there on a platform like Kind of Funny and actually point towards Jez and Windows Central, saying somebody that you're not going to get a good interview there. It's basically a shill site only. You're only going to get softballs. You're not going to get ask second questions or any of that kind of stuff. Claiming that, hey, Christopher Dring, who remember seemed pretty damn jealous of his own, or Jason Schreier, oh, the guy that's also written multiple hit pieces on Xbox in the past. And people like that should be the ones that get the interview. You know what I have to say to that? Fuck all of them. The people that have been writing hit pieces and actually negative articles on Xbox for the last fucking decade. Grant them the first interview? Grant them the first time that you have? Fuck that. I say no. I say, holy shit, let's actually take a stance and stop giving access to those motherfuckers because they don't actually report on the stuff that you're trying to get out there. The stuff that you're actually saying. Instead, any kind of inkling of anything that could be perceived as negative, they blow a million times out of the water in proportion to make it seem like something is way worse than it is. Now, we know the direction things have gone over the last few years, and so some of those things that they've been writing have been, okay, well, this is good points, this is that. But it seems like they all want Xbox to fucking die. It seems like that's been kind of something that they've wanted to have happen for a while. It seems like they keep saying it's going to happen because they're wanting to wish it into existence. It doesn't give me anything extra to see Christopher Dring ask the similar kind of questions that Jez did and get the similar kind of fucking answers as opposed to Jez, who actually covers Xbox more than any of these other people, get the actual interview. We should be just, hey, awesome that Jez got the interview. It would be awesome if somebody else got the interview too that covers Xbox, that covers Microsoft, that covers Windows. Doesn't that make fucking sense? You want Schreier to do it? You want Schreier to do it? The same guy that went and reported about Eric Lin, who was the artist on Halo, that he had misquotations because it was a false translation from a Chinese YouTube video. And he actually ran with that as some dissent within his talking points about the direction of Halo at the time. At the same time that he was promoting his book about the games industry and dissent within game development, the same time he ran with that instead of actually going to Eric Lin himself and even asking him about what he said. And I remember that because Eric Lin said that, hey, Jed, this guy didn't even ask me or anything about it. Instead, he just pointed to it and went and ran with it. Turned out it was actually not proper information because Eric Lin went on to explain what he was trying to say. That Jason Schreier using it to promote his fucking book, you want him to get the first interview? Constantly has Xbox on it as a target? You want Christopher Dring constantly has an Xbox as a target? You want them to get the first interview with the new executive, the new CEO in charge of Xbox? Fuck them. Fuck them. A lot of us have been saying, hey, screw those. Hopefully they stop giving a lot of those media sites attention because it's blatant what they've been doing for a long time. And it's weird to see Blessing go out here and actually say that they should have went with those people instead of somebody that actually covers Microsoft. And a weird kind of, again, let's just listen to it. It's just strange. Like, why even go after an industry peer that covers gaming? Jez had replied, says, he's attacked me before. I don't know what I did to them, but I'm glad they were able to get so much content out of the interview. Yeah, because they talked about the information that was in the interview.
Here's my beef, right?
And we will too.
You know, you had gamesindustry.biz, you have Bloomberg, Jason Schreier.
Yeah. Todd Howard just gave them an interview.
Yeah, the game business, Christopher Dring.
Yes.
You have IGN. You have a list of people that you can go to have that first big interview, big conversation, lay out like, all right, where are we at with Xbox? I don't know. I feel like the place that you went isn't the place that you go.
Fahim says you can't ignore them if you need them. Yeah, and I think that he'll do interviews with all of these people eventually. They're going to talk to all of them, 100%. But this was about being the first, right? And it technically wasn't even the first because Variety was the first because that came out at the same time as the announcement. And it was even more softball, whatever. You know, it was just like an announcement article. This was the actual, like, somebody asking questions thing that is from the community or from games journalism that's not just about announcing this move, right? This was about, hey, what is the direction going to be, all that kind of stuff, and or what do you mean by the things that you said and all of this and all that, those kind of things, right? The other interviews are all going to come at some point. There'll be more information. They're going to share stuff with other sites and stuff, but they're pissed off. They're all jealous because Jez got it first. And I've got to believe that each one of these publications, each one of these game media sites have been sending things to Microsoft, asking for interviews with Asha Sharma, with Matt Booty, with Xbox leadership about the direction and the changes. We talked before about Tom Warren's article yesterday about people sharing information with him. They've all been, you got to believe they've been asking for information and requesting interviews and all these other kind of things, right? They chose Jez and Windows Central first. They were like, hey, this guy's covered Xbox. He's been critical. He's been positive. He's covered Xbox. They're going to give him that first interview. They gave him 13 minutes. So the two aspects of this is the jealousy from Christopher Dring and Blessing out there that, guess what? Somebody else in the big games media didn't get it, or you guys didn't get it. Sorry, pal. Jez got it. It just is what it is. You can like the interview or not, but I don't think we should expect much from an interview at this point. Nate Dogg says, Jez has become the guy in gaming media. He also has a lot of divisive pro Xbox takes. It comes with haters. That's petty when it's not like they or he is never first to a story or interview. Yeah, like Jez is first a lot of times to an interview or to a story or to information. Right? It happens all the time. I think he's earned his spot within games media and journalism, and to take these shots at him for no reason. It just comes across as very cringy, disrespectful, weird energy, and it's like, hey, these guys are bigger than you are, or more like real journalists, so they should get it instead of you. Nah, bro. We know the biasness that's been coming from that side for a long ass time.
If you're trying to have like a good interview, if you're trying to get something that is
Windows Central? Jez?
Windows
Xbox?
Central. It has Windows in the title of the website.
Here's the deal.
I don't go to Jez for my fucking objective journalism about a big corporate shakeup at Xbox.
It's just a
don't piss me off.
Opening interview. There will be many more interviews in the next.
This is your first one.
6 months. It's just fine. There's nothing to be said.
Exactly.
We're gonna go to the person who's gonna
Mike credit there. Like, there's nothing to be said except what they're willing to say right now, which is going to be that corpo speak stuff. Like it just like it's like you can tell some of these people have a problem with Windows Central and Jez, and it's like, why do they have such a problem? And I gotta wonder where that's coming from. And the only thing I can actually get to in my mind is jealousy. Is jealousy. So, anyway, it does make sense that it's Windows Central. Like, exactly. Like, you would... That... If PlayStation had a major shakeup, and there's... Which they've had, and there's new executives all over the place, all these other kind of things, I would expect a site that covers PlayStation a lot to cover... or to get an interview. I don't know. It just seems fitting. So, anyway. Let's get into the actual article that has caused so much controversy with some of these people acting like jealous little babies. Yeah, what do they expect? Push Squared interview? He said IGN. Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's go to IGN again. We've been asking for them to stop giving them shit because they're the way they operate their site is like, and with the people that work there, it seems like they just don't give a shit about Xbox at all. You know what I mean? No, don't give the first one to IGN. Don't give the first one to IGN. No. I'm sure Ryan McCaffrey at some point will have Asha Sharma or Matt Booty again on Xbox or on his podcast Unlocked or whatever. You know, I'm sure that'll happen. I'm sure Kind of Funny will end up getting an interview with them at some point. I'm sure Christopher Dring will end up having his time, right? But the people that they're actually like mentioning here is like Jason Schreier, you know. Yeah. No, I'm not going to them. Not at all. Let's get to the article here. By Jez Corden from Windows Central. Exclusive, talking to new Xbox CEO Asha Sharma and CCO Matt Booty. This team has brought it back before, and I'm here to help us do it again. Now, granted, look, what we're going to read here is going to be a lot of corpo speak stuff, right? We're not, if you go into this thinking we're going to learn what the 100% what is going to happen now at Xbox and what any kind of direction is on the first day of them taking over as actual CEO is asinine, it is ludicrous, and it's ignorant as fuck. So going into this, we should kind of know what to expect. You're going to get corpo speak answers. You're going to get vague things. You're going to get that kind of stuff. That's just to be expected. Pretty much almost any time that Microsoft or Xbox does an interview, as well as PlayStation, or a bunch of these publishers and all that kind of stuff. It's corporate shit. It's marketing. It's PR. That's the way it is. She hasn't done anything yet to have to answer questions to, because she has not done anything herself negative yet. If something happens under her watch, and then there's something like, hey, I'm very critical of your move here, why did you do that? That deserves a clapback answer, right? So let's get back, or clapback question. Let's get back to this from Jez. As former Xbox CEO Phil Spencer prepares to exit, we caught up with incoming CEO Asha Sharma. I already read that shit. Anyway, links are also a source in the description. I put the links in there for the sources of these things. I know that Jez likes when people share that also for the sourcing and stuff. So I made sure to include that here in the description. As of February 23rd, 2026, Xbox has a new CEO. Asha Sharma is taking over from Phil Spencer, who is set to fully retire from the business this October. Spencer has been instrumental in turning Xbox from a Microsoft oddity to a pillar subsidiary, bigger in some quarters than Windows itself. But times have changed. Xbox is facing some of its biggest challenges yet, as disruption from non-gaming entities threaten playtime hours and evolving user behavior and sentiment bottlenecks interest in traditional video game play. Sharma's task will be figuring out how to guide Xbox through its next era as conversations around artificial intelligence dominate the discourse and Xbox's place in the strange new world is continually questioned. I briefly caught up with both new CEO Asha Sharma and the newly promoted Chief Content Officer Matt Booty to discuss what Xbox's next decade looks like as we head through the division's 25th year in operation. On the return to Xbox and a commitment to Xbox hardware. In her opening letter, Asha Sharma said she wanted to bring about a return to Xbox. I asked exactly what that means. And I'm glad he asked this question because I asked it on Twitter. Right after that came out, I was like, I'm curious what exactly is what do you mean by return to Xbox? Can you be more clear on that? So Jez asked exactly what that means, since it effectively implies that Xbox has begun to stray from what Xbox is, which I thought was very interesting. And a lot of the stuff we saw from the letters, the memos that were posted about the appointing, we saw a lot of this returning to, like, bring back the spirit of what made Xbox what it was, and it can't, like, all of this stuff, which I agree with Jez, which along with that comes a acknowledgement of failure. Because if you say you have to do something to return to basically return to glory, return to the spirit, renegade spirit, return to Xbox, like it is that sense that you got away from that, right? Which is it's an acknowledgement, and I found that very interesting in the letters, in the memo, and I was like, yeah, it could be like, yeah, that's just saying what fans want to hear, because I think a lot of us have been saying that they kind of lost their spirit and stuff. So maybe it is like just meant to make us feel warm and fuzzy, right? We'll have to wait and see. But it was still an acknowledgement of failure, which is something in the PR speak stuff you usually don't get that much when it comes to the overall brand. And we'll get into more of that as well, because I mean, she said Phil Spencer brought. There's one point in this that I thought was interesting. She said Phil Spencer brought Xbox back from the brink before, and I want to do it again. And it's like, that was very telling as well. So there's certain things you can read into here about maybe the mentality about where Xbox was internally at Microsoft. Possibly. I don't know. Or it's just meant to make us feel warm and fuzzy. I don't know. So, yeah, like Jez says, since it effectively implies that Xbox has begun to stray from what Xbox is, Sharma volunteered an emphasis on Xbox's core, and specifically its beleaguered console platform, which has seen a few fiscals of near constant decline. So basically Jez asked, what does that mean, return to Xbox? She says, for me, the spirit of return to Xbox, which is one of her commitments, right? So return to Xbox was one of her commitments, is about returning to the spirit that the team was founded on. Sharma explains. It's that spirit of surprise. It's the spirit of building something nobody else was willing to try. I've heard renegade, rebellion, and fun used. That's what I was thinking about when I wrote that. Sharma acknowledged the investment Xbox fans and customers have poured into the ecosystem over the years and seemed genuinely keen to emphasize her commitment to console hardware. Now, I want to get back to that previous answer a little bit, because, yeah, that doesn't really tell us anything. She's just basically talking about the spirit. Return to Xbox means about the spirit of it, and that's just basically what she was saying. So whatever that means, and that's very vague, right? We don't know what it means. We don't know what, like, how that will actually come into action or fruition, in what ways. Time will tell, and then she'll be judged accordingly, right? And Void Rat says it's 2:50 a.m. No idea why I'm still awake. Good night, bro. Good night. 2:50 a.m. That's all right. That's pretty normal for me too. Sharma acknowledged the investment Xbox fans and customers have poured into the ecosystem over the years and seemed genuinely keen to emphasize her commitment to console hardware. I think, and this is her answer, I think that our core Xbox fans and players have invested up to 25 years of themselves in these universes and our console. I want to make sure everyone knows I'm committed to Xbox, starting with the console. Whatever that means. We're going to keep meeting players where they are. Sounds like that's a Phil statement. That's a Sarah Bond statement, basically. We're going to keep doing that. That means that for me, they're going to continue to potentially keep games everywhere, right? I think anybody thinking all of a sudden games are not going to be multi-plat is just wishful thinking right now. Is it possible? Sure, anything's possible. I don't see it, but I think that crazier things have happened this generation. That's the one thing, like, I've learned this generation is to expect the unexpected. Like, they are have been doing things at a way accelerated path than any of us thought. And we've been very forward thinking. A lot of the stuff that we talk about with like direction of like, where are they going? You know, what's going to happen to gaming in the next 10 years? And I remember early on when we had some of those shows and people were like, nobody can know what's going to happen, or no, you know, you guys are just talking like crazy. A lot of those things ended up happening, but they happened a million times, like way sooner than we ever even thought they were going to happen. It was crazy how accelerated things got, and maybe too fast, maybe way too fast. So the market wasn't ready for it yet, you know? The world continues to evolve and change. We're going to make sure Xbox is a great place for developers and players. Again, this is all typical, yeah, reading the company line, you know what I mean? We want to invest in reducing the artificial divide between different types of devices that they want to use with us. Again, the same kind of model they've been going with recently. I think that's going to mean a lot more investment in breaking down the barriers and helping developers build once and show up across different hardware experiences. For me, I believe Xbox starts with its fans and will grow from there. That's what I wanted to signal with Return to Xbox. So, yeah. So again, it's about the console, and it's about beyond the console, which is basically the same thing that Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer have been saying, except just in a different way. But the return to Xbox has been interesting, to say the least. And again, is it just warm and fuzzy speak? I don't know. But Jez goes on to say, there's been a ton of speculation about what kind of moves Asha might make. Xbox notoriously ditched any form of exclusivity on its games, shifting units to PlayStation, paying little mind to the criticisms that it reduces the need to actually buy an Xbox. Sharma told me that nothing is off the table when it comes to revising Xbox's strategy. But finalizing the strategy will take time and data parsing. On Xbox's recent strategic decisions, Sharma said the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. So that was an interesting, you know, mean nothing statement, but also is, I guess, meant to come across with the message that anything can change. Right now, she says, I need to learn, candidly, about the why of these decisions, what we were optimizing for, and what the data says about the Xbox strategy today. That's the honest answer. That's all we can, like, I mean, what do we expect? You know, like, she goes in there, figure out, okay, your job is to, okay, replace Phil, but also, like, you want to bring back the spirit of Xbox, as like you keep bringing up, and with your commitments, you have taken over something you kind of are speaking to that has strayed. How do you get it back to that? But also, like, you got to learn about everything that led up to where they are today, and why things happened, what direction they're going in, financially, for the interest of Microsoft, also for the gamers, or all these things are going to play into this stuff. And coming from a non-gaming background, also, she's got to come in there and, you know, look into this stuff and figure it out. Which, that's what we should expect. And that's the kind of answer that I think we should expect. So anybody looking at this saying that's like, oh, you're not telling us what you're going to do? What your plan is? How you're going to change things? Well, it's like way too early for that. And we'll probably never really get a clear answer on things. There'll just be announcements that happen with features, games. hardware, whatever, you know. She says, I'm looking at lifetime value, not just what happened in a previous moment or in short-term efficiencies and things like that. The plan's the plan until it's not the plan. So that was very interesting. Like the plan's the plan until it's not the plan. And that just means like, hey, yeah, Xbox can shift strategies. Xbox can shift strategies. What led up to these decisions where they are? If it's not working now, we got to, or if it is, we got to look at what's the value long term. Not just what happened in the past, not just what is happening next year or, you know, the next game launch, you know, or the next quarter. It's about the brand as a whole and making sure you make it as strong as possible for the lifetime of the brand. That personally is one of my favorite things that she has said in interviews and things like that, because I agree with that way of thinking. I've said as much when I would be critical of Square Enix and making their games exclusive to PlayStation. I was like, it's very short-sighted, very you take the money up front, you take the deal, right? You get some short-term gain, but in the long term, what you end up doing is diminishing the amount of fans of your franchises, which has lifetime negative effects, right? Would Call of Duty ever be what Call of Duty became if it was only ever an exclusive game? Probably not, because the audience would have been much smaller, right? It would have been big still, but I don't think it would have become the monster that it became because it was always multi-platform. Like if NBA 2K or if Madden or if FIFA, like whatever, you know, these games that are like multi-platform monster releases every year, get tons of players, all that kind of stuff. If they were only ever on one platform forever in the history, they wouldn't necessarily be as big of franchises as they are. They may still be popular, still have a name, but they're not going to make as much money. They're not going to end up being able to fund as much as they do into them. And that's talking about short-term rewards versus lifetime. You know what I mean? So that could weigh in the decision too, as also these brands. Like, as a lot of people look at it as like, oh, they want to make the Xbox brand stronger by making games exclusive again, because that's her way of thinking. But then also you could look at it the other way and say, well, but the gaming brands might be stronger if they are not exclusive, right? So what do you value more there, the Xbox or the actual games and the IPs and stuff? Now, like, she is in charge of Microsoft and Xbox. So our traditional way of thinking is Xbox, right? Console, all that kind of stuff. So she's going to have to weigh, right? The lifetime value is the Xbox platform and console side worth more having the strongest position as a console, or is it worth more having the games be as big as they can be? Like, I don't. Did Jason Schreier say something too? I didn't see Jason Schreier's tweet. I was talking about Christopher Dring earlier. It was Christopher Dring, not Jason Schreier. I was mentioning Jason Schreier because he was mentioned by Blessing as somebody that should have gotten that interview instead of Jez. I just thought it was bullshit. But yeah, if you look at if you go to my Ice Cold. If you go to my Twitter and you go to where I had made the quote tweet about it, and you'll see that, yeah, it's blocked now because it's non-existent now because he deleted it. I had taken a screenshot of it in the comments to some people to share with them, so you can actually see what's there from Christopher Dring. Anyway, it's going to be a way, like, and that's the kind of stuff that she's going to go see, right? And learn about. and figure it out. And I don't think she knows right now what the direction is going to be 100%. Sharma described how her and Matt Booty are currently going on a whirlwind learning tour of all of Xbox's gaming teams, with studio and organization visits penned in from Minecraft, Bethesda, Activision, and more. Matt Booty cautioned that players shouldn't expect drastic changes in the near term, though, while emphasizing that the team plans to re-examine and question everything. 100%. Like, that's cool. You know, go in there. Like, and Matt Booty's going to be in her ear a lot, and we've already seen from the FTC leaks what kind of competitive spirit that he has. So it's going to be interesting to see. She's going to go to all the teams, talk to all of them, learn things, see the games. You know, she's just discovering all this culture stuff, all these things, and there's multiple sides to it. There's us, the gamers. There's going to be the developers. You know, there's going to be the money people. There's going to be all of these different things, and everybody is going to want things. Everybody's going to say, this is what you should do. This is what you should do. This is what you should do, right? It looks too early to get answers right now. I just hope that whatever direction she goes in is full committal, right? Full committal, is marketed and messaged properly, and that it gives us the best experience possible, right? That's what we can all hope for. I want to give her the grace to try and make that happen, and not say that she can't, or that I don't trust that she can do it. I have no idea, right? Let's just see what happens, and then, you know, down the road, we can give them feedback, and hopefully they listen to it, whether it be positive or constructive or critical. Xbox players have thousands of dollars invested in money and time too. It's incredibly important for me to understand that and protect that. I am committed to returning to Xbox, and that starts with console. That starts with hardware. You'll hear more about that soon. We'll have some announcements coming up. Maybe they have some more third-party OEM deals coming up soon, either on the actual console side or the handheld side. Don't know exactly what would be announced soon, unless they're already going to be announcing some kind of that hybrid console coming up next year, and maybe they're already getting ready for that. Like Sarah Bond had said on her memo that on LinkedIn that the next console is well underway. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. You'll hear more about that soon. We'll have some announcements coming up. You'll see us. You'll see which, you know, that alone, right? I just got to give Jez credit here too. Okay, that alone, in just any normal situation without the big shakeup and all these other kind of thing, if you had one of these executives say that in an interview to you, that would have blown up all over the fucking social media. That would have blown up all over social media. Like she said, I'm committed to returning to Xbox, and that starts with console. That starts with hardware. You'll hear more about that soon. We'll have some announcements coming up. Like, just like, okay, Xbox to announce new hardware soon. We've seen this before in game in social media and gaming. Like, in a normal situation, we would all be like, oh yeah, we're gonna announce hardware soon. That's just that alone. That is, to me, a good get there from Jez. Like, when it does soon mean, but getting an exec to say that is kind of like, oh, makes your ears perk up. Oh, we're getting some hardware announcements soon. That's fucking cool. We all had speculated that it might happen this year. There might be some things coming up, but you know, there you go. Clarification. You will hear more about that soon. We'll have some announcements coming up. It's a little nugget, right? You'll see us collectively investing here. We also know that there are a lot of players who aren't on console or our hardware. And I think she's talking about, okay, the Asus ROG Xbox Ally. I think she's talking about the console, or PC and stuff like that. I don't know. And I want to deliver great games to them too. I need to learn more about what that can look like. what decisions were made, what we need to do going forward, and I want a little bit of time and space to do that. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. That's to be expected, right? Matt Booty chimed in too on protecting the Xbox ecosystem and rejected speculations of Microsoft Gaming for its gaming division to devolve into a publisher. So this has been something that we've seen a couple of ex-executives. Seamus Blackley, who was one of the founders of Xbox, had commented saying that they were going to be sunsetting it. Somebody else had went on to, I think it was Brad Sham. No, not Brad Sham. Fuck, what's the guy's name? Is it Brad Sams? Brad Sham is a fucking Cowboys radio announcer. Is it Brad Sams? I can't remember. Anyway, there was a guy on was it Brad Sams, covers Microsoft stuff, show, and it was like he thinks that she was set up to fail on purpose or whatever. But then there was also another former Xbox executive today, I think it was Ed Freeze, maybe, that was like, hey, that he thinks that there's like good chance that she could do a great job there. I don't know, So again, everything's up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. Brad Sams, not Sims, Psycho. Brad Sams. There you go. Thanks, Dova. Matt Booty chimed into on protecting the Xbox ecosystem. Blah, 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 blah. Like I said, our studio system is fully built around being first party. He said, we're not built to just be a publisher. It is core to our partnership with the Microsoft platform, being involved in early hardware decisions, all the work we've done to get games like Gears of War running great on new devices like the Xbox Ally, and so on. It is embedded within our structure. We're not backing away from that. We're committed to being a first-party games publisher in partnership with our first-party platform team. Again, what does that mean? Like, here, they can say whatever they want, and you're going to have people be like, oh, this is just corpo speak, and nobody's going to believe anything they say. And that's true, because we've seen them say many things in the past, and then it ended up not happening, or they end up shifting directions, right? But they're saying this, and people are acting like that Jez didn't get any information, right? He's gotten Matt Booty to basically go on record now and saying we're committed to being a first-party games publisher in partnership with our first-party platform team. Right? Now, what does that necessarily mean? Like, that'll include OEM devices. I think that'll include their own console if they end up actually making their own hardware, which they're supposedly happening. Right? And they say again in this that it's happening. So yeah, he got them to recommit on that again. But people say it's just corpo speak, doesn't mean anything. But what are they supposed to say? I mean, like, are they supposed to go out and say, hey, we're not doing it? Like, people aren't going to believe anything they say regardless of what they say. Right? So, like, to be critical of the fact that why give the interview to Jez is just asinine to me. Like, it was so stupid. I'm preserving Xbox Game Studio culture and rejecting AI-created games. What's up, Berg Brizzle? How's it going? What's up, Duck of Death? How you doing? No, it's the Duke. The Duke of Death. Unforgiven, one of the best movies of all time, bro. One of the biggest issues facing the gaming industry all up right now is finding new users. Xbox and other big platform holders are effectively just trading the same few 100 million core users back and forth, with attention being divested into apps like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and other algorithmic non-gaming products. I asked Asha Sharma if she planned to explore new paradigms for Xbox to that end, but she once again signaled intent to double down on Xbox's core. The thing about other products that are taking off, they've built really great communities with their audiences. We're the stewards of a lot of communities, and we have been for decades. The thing that makes a community is that you build for the core. What I don't want to do is have any creator at Xbox dilute their focus to chase an emerging community, Sharma explained. Which is very interesting there, because that's one thing that Xbox has been very guilty of. um, for a while. It's like, and that's pretty much what a lot of the strategy has been is, okay, well, this is a new thing like cloud or this or that. And we're going to actually spend so much of our time dealing with that stuff, we kind of neglect what the core aspect was the console. They ended up not putting in features that were promised or talked about. They abandoned the backwards compatibility program. When then they didn't ever fix the game DVR stuff. They things like that, and it was like, well, because they had so much time focusing on other things, they couldn't do everything. You know, um, and it's like, well, if her mentality is to build for the core and then branch out, as opposed to dilute the core by doing all these different things, I think that is the right mentality to have. I think that was interesting how she said that, and that comes from maybe what I said before. Even though this is our corpo speak stuff, this is just a answer to a simple question about how brands are built. Not necessarily talking about their own personal strategy yet, but just how brands are built. And if it's a glimpse into her mind and how to grow a platform, maybe we can actually gleam into how she thinks a little bit. And that's the thing I like about some of these interviews is, okay, how does this person handle these questions? What is their like answers, and what can we get? Like, yeah, they're not going to give us anything definitive. They're not going to say what's going to happen. But I'm curious about how this person speaks with their corpo speak stuff, because maybe you can actually get a little bit of a glimpse into how their brain works with their mentality on business, on industry, on communities, on games, just a little bit of their mindset on how they think, and I like reading this stuff because I try and like maybe over dissect it a little bit, just to try and understand what kind of decisions they might make. You know what I mean? Like she said, we're the stewards of a lot of communities, and we have been for decades. The thing that makes a community is that you build for that core. What I don't want to do is have any creator at Xbox dilute their focus to chase an emergent community. Sharma explained, if we want to invest in a new community, we'll look at how to do that, but it's really important that people stay true to their core when they're building. The thing I've learned when building platforms over my career, there's kind of two things that really make a great platform. It's the quality of the product that you deliver for the core user, and it's the integrity of the decisions that stand behind it. There's a big community to Xbox, and we'll look at the right way to serve that community. Again, it doesn't mean anything, really, but as a gamer, yeah, it's meant to make you feel warm and fuzzy. And mission accomplished. I want them to serve the Xbox community first, right? Want them to, I want them to give us a little bit of commitment there that the platform is built for the gamers that are actually spending the most money, spending the most time, right? How do you invest more to make that experience better? Because like things grow from within outward, and if you if you have a huge ass net, right? Let's say you're going fishing, right? And you have a fucking monster ass net, but it's weak and it's not well made and there's holes everywhere. Maybe you're not going to catch as much fish as you do if you have a really strong, well-made, smaller net, and then maybe, you catch a lot of fish, and then it allows you to keep going fishing with more nets. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to use this dumbass analogy here, right? But you get what I'm saying. If something is diluted to the point to where it's actually weakening everything to where the foundation isn't as strong, maybe it's not going to actually attract as much as if the core is strong at its foundation. And maybe that's just the way she's thinking here, right? Bilu No says, like, damn, can she say anything without the absolute punish for merely speaking. I hope you're not saying I'm punishing her for speaking. Like, I'm not doing that right now. I'm trying to like actually just read into what she's saying. And I was saying I like a lot of the stuff that she says, even though we're not going to really learn from it right now too much, because we have to wait and see, right? But like, yeah, it's interesting how I've been listening to shows where they're like, this is just like, it's like, I don't know what they expect here. It's like they expected something different, you know, and you can't expect more than what we got really this early on. It's like the first interview that she's done, you know, and giving insight questions from somebody in the community. And it's like, you're not gonna really get anything like, this is what we're doing, this is how it's gonna happen, and this is when we're doing it. That's not gonna happen right now. You know what I mean? So, it's I find it very interesting that how much people are like trying to downplay like the nothingness of this, but that's like every publisher, every platform holder, and their executives. That's the way they do all interviews. You know what I mean? And it was like, and it seemed more targeted towards Jez. And I think it came out of like jealousy that he got this interview for some reason. You know, like why are they all so jealous that somebody that covers Microsoft and Xbox got the interview instead of somebody that writes negative articles about Microsoft and Xbox for the last decade? Just saying, you know. A lot of discourse around Asha's appointment revolves around her tenure in Microsoft's core AI org, whose mission is to integrate AI features into Azure tools. I asked Asha Sharma how she felt about artificial intelligence and the discourse regarding that surrounding her appointment at Xbox. She says, I think that with any new technology, it brings possibilities as a tool, but even more important, especially now, we need to draw lines on what we won't do. That's what I attempted to do when I shared my opening letter, she explained. I will not flood our ecosystem with slop. We won't have careless output. We won't have derivative work. I deeply believe in the words that I shared previously there. So again, despite her like trying to acknowledge that with her memo originally, which I thought was obviously what she's trying to do with her whole AI slop thing, because she comes from an AI team, it's like she saw that coming, that she knew she could be questioned about it again. She's basically saying like, yeah, I was already trying to say this before. Everybody's still gonna say what they want to say, you know, but this is like, we need to draw lines on what we won't do. She cares deeply about it, blah, 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 blah. So we'll see. Yeah, are they going to continue to use AI at Xbox and gaming? Absolutely. To the extent of it, wait and see. But they keep saying they're just going to let the creators create the games how they want to make them and have tools available to use if they would choose to use them, right? That's what they say, so we'll see, right? There doesn't seem to be some kind of a mandate that you have to, you know, use generative AI art and shit like that people are thinking in their minds. You know what I mean? I think that ultimately, again, we've had times in the past where they've said things and then we've, you know, devs come out and speak about shit and it's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's not what they said, you know. But right now, it's all we have to go on, right? So we just got to take them for what they're saying and see what happens in the future. We're not going to get more than this right now. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to force all of our teams to use our exciting new AI technology that's going to create the artwork for them and the worlds. We think that AI creations are going to supplant human AI, like human creations in the near future, and we want to get ahead of that. Now, like, they're not saying any of that shit. That would be crazy alarming if it was. That's not what they're saying. So I don't think... I don't think that's the reality. I think that there'll be somewhere in between. Some devs are going to use AI stuff some more than others, right? And to what extent they do, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. Matt Booty put to bed rumors that Microsoft is planning to enforce some kind of AI directive on Xbox from the top, noting that developers are free to use the tools they want. Just as a group, game developers are always eager to adopt new technology. When Photoshop showed up, it took about 1 month for it to appear in every game studio on the planet because it was so useful. Matt noted that Xbox's goal is for AI to be additive and supportive rather than disruptive on its teams. What I hear throughout our studios, it is the people, our artists, our coders, the writers, they're doing the creative work. In my experience, anytime there's a new technology, what happens is there's a need for more specialists, new specialists, new specialists. It raises the bar on what the expectations are for the quality of the games. We've got no pressure from Microsoft. There are no directives on AI coming down. Our teams are free to use any technologies they might feel beneficial, whether it's helping write code or check for bugs. Things more in the production pipeline. At the end of the day, as Asha said, we're committed to art made by people. Technology is only in support of that. On the topic of art, I was curious if there were plans to diverge Xbox away from its more eclectic publishing stylings and doubling down on chasing blockbusters. Some of Xbox's biggest games like Overwatch and Fallout 76 have seen a huge resurgence over the last year, and other titles like World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Call of Duty continue to see impressive engagement. But will there still be room for the smaller, more intrepid, and potentially niche creative Xbox studios in this new era? Matt Booty says that type of creativity remains core to Xbox gaming philosophy. The first conversations Asha and I had when we first met to do all of this, to her credit, she immediately emphasized supporting our studios and our games. Our ecosystem is built to be a portfolio of everything from small games to ongoing franchises to the big blockbusters. We're built at our core to build everything from Kiln to Call of Duty, everything from Minecraft to South of Midnight. That's core to how we're set up. Matt said that Xbox thinks of itself as a federation of studios supporting each other both creatively and technologically. I think we've got one of the best portfolios out there, even in the entertainment industry, more broadly in terms of that range. We're dedicated to it, and here's why. I believe that almost everything big started as something small. We cannot lose the ability to have those places where little sparks can grow into something big. The creative environment that lets us take bets at creative risk has to be part of Xbox's culture. We're committed. Our studio system is built for that. I agree 100% with Matt there with that statement. Teams that lose sight of creating new franchises lose sight on the potential to catch lightning in a bottle again and create the next big thing. Or something that is worthy of continuing and spending time and investment in, creating new IP. You know, creation is one of the most important things in gaming, is that we get new experiences and worlds and all that kind of stuff. I hate to see a world where we're only playing the big games and don't play other games, give them a chance. And I hate the world where big publishers only end up investing in those big franchises because they're more the sure bets. And they become stagnant. And eventually those communities may get weaker or die down. And then these companies are screwed because everything that they've spent time on was either doing those things or chasing a trend. So let's hope that that stays true. Let's hope that that keeps up. I didn't personally like when they shut down Project Blackbird. That was one I think had a lot of potential to be that bet that really paid off. They did decide to shut it down. And I hope Asha Sharma, maybe in her mind, after speaking to Matt Booty, maybe they could revisit that. I don't know what the possibilities of that would be for ZeniMax Online and Project Blackbird, but that's one that I think they missed the boat on 100% in canceling that game. And if you say it, Matt, if you say that, you know, your core, you're dedicated to it. Everything big started something small. We can't lose the ability to have those places where sparks can grow into something big. You got to stand behind it and not cancel these projects when they're close to meeting massive milestones and potentially releasing out into the world. I am sick of the world in gaming where these publishers spend 4 or 5 years working on a game. it's getting closer and closer to the finish line, maybe a year from release or less, and they end up canceling it at that point, especially when something looks promising. And supposedly Project Blackbird was very promising. So, feedback for you there, Matt. All right. The best thing about my job is sitting in on meetings when they're just early ideas. You can imagine what it's like sitting in a room and someone says, "We're going to make a game about a walking lighthouse," Matt said, referencing Double Fine's Keeper. And then I go from that to review the next 3 years of Call of Duty. It's been great to hear Asha state her commitment to that as well. So we'll see. Does that continue to pan out? Does that continue to happen? That's what we could all hope for, I believe. I didn't get the chance to ask everything I wanted to ask, Jez says. There are so many questions about Xbox's future and its strategy. Yeah, apparently Jez has said on Twitter again that he got 13 minutes. I gotta say, in his 13 minutes, he had some great questions and got some answers that we can look into. He got them to talk about hardware announcements coming soon. He got them to speak on strategy, about the not giving up on the smaller projects. He got them to talk about the first paragraph, with a turn to Xbox, what that means. That was very vague. Again, not really clear on its just sentiment, it seems like. And then also investing in the core, right? And that mentality. I think overall for 13 minutes, he got some decent amount of answers and some same kind of questions I probably would have asked. You know, I mean, knowing that right now you're not going to get anything clear. You're not going to get anything definitive. They said she said candidly she's in the basically learning phase, you know. She needs space to figure out what to do and how to and what decisions to make, you know. There are so many questions about Xbox's future and strategy, so many levers that could potentially shift, and so many angles that could potentially warp. I wanted to ask more about Xbox Game Pass and its future in the ecosystem, what role Xbox cloud gaming stands to play, and obviously whether or not we'll eventually get a new Banjo-Kazooie, because those questions will have to wait for another time. In closing, I asked Asha Sharma what she would say to Xbox fans who have worries and concerns about the change as we bid farewell to Phil Spencer, who inherited a very different Xbox back in 2014. And I thought this was actually a good final question because we got a little nugget here too. Again, something that we can kind of glean into, maybe the mentality of failure in recent years. And are they scapegoating Sarah Bond for these decisions? Possibly. Championing Phil, scapegoating Sarah Bond. From the executive level, yeah. But we also heard from the employees in Tom Warren's article that were under her. And I don't think the employees that are under the boss are necessarily going to that it can't really be considered scapegoating. So, don't know, man. But we'll see. And she says, Phil Spencer is a remarkable human and a remarkable leader, and I think that when he took over in 2014, he changed the culture of Xbox to focus on player-driven and creator-driven decisions. I intend to honor and uphold that. Sharma didn't shy away from the challenge facing Xbox, both externally and internally, but volunteered the idea of strengthening Xbox not just for the near term, but for another quarter century. In her words, Sharma said her current goal is proof over promise. Again, we all say actions speak louder than words. That words really don't mean anything without action, and that we need to see things to believe them and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of where we are with Xbox, a lot of us, you know, based on the things that they say. I personally enjoying the platform. I have plenty of games to play, plenty of games to look forward to coming out. We know that there's hardware announcements coming soon. I think, honestly, like for me, everything's kind of fine. I think some of the pricing decisions were not great. But as a gamer, I'm enjoying my experience, right? Do I think the marketing and the messaging could be a lot better? Absolutely. Do I think they could refocus more attention to the console space and dedicate themselves back to that more. Absolutely. But time will tell if they make those things happen. She's got to show the proof of the promise, right? That's what she says. So she goes on to say, we know that the business has gone through some challenges. Again, this is something like, it's a little admittance of kind of failure, and maybe it's, obviously revenue declines, but also brand damage, I think, is a lot of what we're speaking, because one of the first things that the return to Xbox, that's like a repairing a brand statement almost. You know what I mean? It's like return to the spirit of Xbox. It's like restoring the brand in a way. And the brand damage is what's been done. And how do you restore faith and confidence and not even more so than that, just general consumer excitement beyond the core. Now the core is there, feels let down, and it has been damaged itself. But you have to strengthen the core to make those other things happen, right? And I think that's what she's trying to say in some of this. You have to get back to the core and really take care of them, and then that way it'll grow beyond that. And I think hopefully that's the way she's thinking. And if we can read into some of the stuff she said, I think that gleams into that. So you got to pay attention to the people that love it the most, speak about it the most, play the most, invest the most, make the experience as awesome as it can be for them, and then you will find that that holds up to grow, right? So yeah, like she said, we know that the business has gone through some challenges. I'm going to use my expertise and the leaders that have the deep gaming depth around the table to help us grow the business and make sure that we have an incredible next 25 years. I will listen, I will learn, I will communicate what we're seeing and what we're doing. I think from here, the work is proof over promise. Matt and I are in it. Every hour of every day of every night, I am fully in this thing. This team has brought it back before, and I'm here to help us do it again. So, again, that last statement, like for me, it was like interesting because like it speaks to the whole return to Xbox thing, and like Jez had pointed out in his thoughts that was kind of an admittance of straying away from what Xbox is, right? And with this statement, this team has brought it back before, and I'm here to help us do it again. So for me, again, that speaks to the brand damage. Brand damage that was done back in the jump from 360 into the Xbox One generation, DRM for fiasco. This is how you share games. TV. If you can play on the, I forget what Don Matrick said exactly, but he was like, if you can't play online, then we have a console for you. It's called like an Xbox 360 or something like that. Like they had some brand damage at that point, and massive. They've still been recovering ever since. At the end of last generation, Xbox One, Phil Spencer recaptured the spirit and things started turning around. And that was heading in a really great direction until 2022. It ended 2021, I would say 2022. I was heading in a great direction until 2022. And it was like rake after rake after rake. Yeah, maybe COVID had something to do with it. Maybe, pressures. And then it's like spirit again. Okay, we have all these acquisitions coming in. We have all these things happening. Holy shit, they're really doing it. Microsoft is committed. Investment is huge, and they do all these things. And then, okay, rake after rake after rake. And I'm talking about brand damage rakes, and I'm talking about like letting things happen that shouldn't happen, or messaging is very unclear. Marketing direction is very unclear. This is an Xbox campaign. People, for the most part, hated it. I thought it was overblown. It was like, for me, I understood what they were trying to get across with that. But people hated it because they thought it devalued the console. Again, people kept talking about devaluing the console, devaluing the console, devaluing the console. And, also they raised the price of the consoles. And that devalues the console even more, as a brand, because you're actually drawing less people in, making it harder to get because it's more expensive, and then telling people that they don't need it. Brand and all these things were just permeating people's minds. Then you have the multi-platform thing, or all these games are everywhere else, even on PlayStation, all that kind of stuff. And it's telling people, well, you can play on a PlayStation, you can play it. So like all these things, like people that are just the console gamer, right, sees all these things, and it's, I think your experience now, I think where the major impact happens. Like I think our experience as gamers now, like that are in the ecosystem, like everything's fine. Like we have our consoles, we have our games coming. Okay, the price increase of Game Pass sucked ass. Price increase on games sucked and all that kind of stuff, right? But we're already invested in the ecosystem. We got our games, we have our subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. We're still getting to play the games. I'm personally happy because I get to play them on my Xbox, I get to play them on my PC, get to play them on the Series S, get to play them on my Xbox LIX. All these places I get to play my games. I'm super happy with it, But I think attracting new people into buying hardware, when it's more expensive, and knowing they don't need one is a challenge. And it's not necessarily like, and I think it's okay that they don't necessarily need one, right? Because like, yeah, you're out there attracting all these different consumers potentially, but if the brand isn't strong enough to where it's like, hey, this is cool and exciting, if people don't get it, if people don't understand, if people don't know why they should get it, or subscribe, or play this on the cloud, or play on PC, then none of these places that you're going to matter if you're not drawing people into them, despite how awesome it is. You have all the content in the world. You can have the best cloud infrastructure in the world. You can have day one games that nobody else has. You can have all these things. And unless your messaging and marketing and actual strength that you're presenting is strong enough to the average consumer that doesn't know what all this stuff is, then you're not drawing those people in. You know what I mean? It's just, they're not drawing in enough. And so it's like, how do you strengthen that? That's going to be the challenge. Like, that's the challenge. Dedicating more time to the Xbox core is a challenge. Navigating all that stuff, resources, you only have a certain amount, so where do you allocate what resources to? What games do you green light? What games are going to be green lit and check marked, for the next 5-6 years, the next 10 years, next 20 years, all these other kind of things, they're all matter. So it's going to be interesting to see what she does. But again, she says this again, it's like an acknowledgement that Xbox is in a good place. Maybe within Microsoft, and also in general. I don't know. But it says, this team has brought it back before, and I'm here to help us do it again. It's weird seeing these kind of statements, and I think, like, you wouldn't see Phil come out there if he was still on the team right now. Well, he's still there technically, but you wouldn't see him come out and say, we need to bring Xbox back. Because like, that's an admittance of, hey, things haven't been going great under my watch, But like, somebody comes in with this energy, and it's mainly maybe it's meant to make us feel like things are going to change, things are going to be great, and bring in that energy, right? But it's not something I don't think we would have seen Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer say, right? Phil Spencer's been up there and taken criticism. He's gone up there after the Redfall's launch and did interviews, like all these other kind of things. Yeah, he'll go up there and he'll stand in and take criticisms like, look, we need to do better. We need to do this. We need to do that. He's going out there and said, look, people aren't going to sell their PlayStations and buy an Xbox, or what, those kinds of things. He said that like on an interview and all that stuff. And we were critical a little bit of the fact that he said that, even though like there may be some truth to it. Like, you don't want to present that image like you still want to be like, you should do that because it's better. You know what I mean? Like it's about projecting that confidence of how much better you are than the competition. That's something PlayStation does very well, and Xbox got away from that. You know, so can they bring back some of that? So it'll be interesting to see, man. There's not too much we can learn from this stuff. There's only speculation, and there's only some kind of corpo speak things and stuff like that. But maybe if we look close enough and dissect it, we can kind of get a little bit of insight into maybe the way that she thinks about business. Maybe we can get a little bit of insight into what they're saying right now, because what they're saying right now would be the right now strategy. But if we can look into her insight on how she thinks about brands, maybe we can kind of have some hope of what happens in the future based on the way that she thinks. So like you can't get too much. Anybody expecting more out of this article or any interview right now with them is absolutely just, I don't know, ignorant. I think you're not going to get much more than this. You're not going to get much more than this. Like, Jez did a fantastic job in the time he was granted. People that are jealous, the fact that he got that and it wasn't somebody, either some bigger gaming site or somebody that's not a Microsoft or Windows coverage site, they can just go all fuck off. Like Jason Schreier doesn't need to get the first one. Christopher Dring doesn't need to get the first one. No matter what people at Kind of Funny, like Blessing says, like, he did a good job on this. We got some good answers that we can try and look at and decipher. The jealousy running rampant around games media is becoming clear, and I think we all know why. A lot of those people have been people that want to see Xbox fail, that hate Xbox as a brand, and also just don't give a shit about their games whatsoever. Don't ever care to play any of their games. And that's not the people that should be fucking covering them, in my opinion. That's not how you grow, by letting somebody, hey, I'm gonna give you these PR statements, which I'm gonna do to no matter who asks, and then have a whole article written about how bad Xbox is underneath it. Yeah. Jez has been critical many times over Xbox, and I got to stick up for him on this shit because it's been kind of ridiculous. But that was it, man. That was it as an article. So anyway, I'm going to talk to the chat a little bit here. See what you guys have to say. I'm gonna switch this over. Did you enjoy the article from Jez with the interview? Shout out to Ice Cold, just sent me this. I'm looking at this here. Hold on. It says Asha Sharma has been Xbox boss for one day, and look at how they have gone after her already. Oh yeah, the Ryan McCaffrey thing, like, it's just all over the place. It's like, it's just, hey, we don't want to give her a chance. It's like you got to give her a chance to at least do her job before we can say you did a good job or not. If you're not excited about the moves, that's fine, but like, you can't be critical of her yet. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, some of the stuff I've been seeing, and it's weird. It's gone. It's gone on to where now people are attacking people like Jez. It's just fucking weird, man. It's just fucking weird, bro. The energy out there is so strange. All right, so B. Luno says, I'm giving her and Matt a chance. We may not like the change, but you can't blame them for how it all went down. Yeah, a lot of these people were asking for change. You know, a lot of people were asking for change at Xbox. You know, we got a lot of the same people that, you know, Ice Cold has shared me this image of all these people bashing this. Same people that bash the former leadership with Phil and Sarah. Now they're out, and it's like, let's bash this now. Because it honestly doesn't fucking matter what they do. Some of these people will always just say Xbox is dead. We're going to criticize Xbox no matter what. It's like they can't fathom saying anything positive. It's like it makes them want to fucking throw up or something. You know, like they just can't do it. They just can't fucking do it. So they and why? Maybe it's for clicks. Maybe it's for attention. Maybe it's for money. Maybe it's because they are just a negative person. Maybe it's because they like PlayStation more and want to help justify their investment into that platform because they don't want to own two, so they have to just justify the fact that they're only a PlayStation gamer. I don't know where the fuck that energy always comes from, but it's been weird ever since we started this channel. I knew this stuff was existing. I did the console war, all these things. Like I've seen all of this shit for years. But once I started this channel and I really got in touch with the like more of the Twitter and YouTube community, I saw this other side that I didn't fucking know went this deep. I saw games media being harsh and critical before and shit I didn't agree. But to see the extent that things go, the kind of stuff people say, the kind of articles people write, the kind of thumbnails they constantly have, the kind of fucking bullshit they spew on YouTube, all of these things constantly, and it comes from biggest games media down to the smallest creators. The amount of hate that people have for brands of gaming in general is crazy. It's like mental health crazy, bro. And I'll say some of the Xbox community too. Some of them, like, if you even, okay, like I would say we're probably like 90% or higher positive on Xbox stuff, right? Anybody that's been watching us for the long haul knows that we're like, I'm a big Xbox enthusiast, Xbox gamer. Oh, but I got a PC. I'm abandoning the fucking console. I'm a fucking traitor, right? Or, hey, I criticize a fucking studio closure. Oh, Mav can't say that. He's a fucking pony. Like what? Like, Jesus. Like, people take this shit way too far to either side. It's because they're passionate about gaming. I understand that. But, man, the amount of hate Xbox gets in general from just everyday things, no matter what they do and say, is fucking ludicrous, man. And it's like, they can have the same kind of interview that any other publisher has, but nobody's ever going to talk about any of those other fucking publisher interviews or articles or platform interviews. They're just going to fucking overly criticize the time that Xbox has one. I don't know why. It's strange. It's very, very strange, man. Yo, what's up, Spooky? How you doing, bro? Yeah, grown-ass men losing their shit all the time, man. Like, and like, I think the easiest thing to do is everybody just speak what they feel, what they actually think, you know? But, like, it scares me how much people have this disdain for Game Pass. You know what I mean? Or have this disdain for any time an Xbox game comes out or make some kind of announcement, you know? And wish for them to die constantly. That wouldn't be good for anybody in the gaming space. That wouldn't be good for anybody. These PlayStation guys are fucking eating these Xbox games up, man. It wouldn't be good for them to lose Xbox now. They're eating these fucking Xbox games up. The same games they've been talking shit on for years and years and years. They are fucking loving them. They are loving the shit out of these Xbox games now. God, they can't play them enough, man. They can't play them enough. Oh my God, they're going to be so excited the next Xbox game that drops on PlayStation. So fucking excited. They're going to play the shit out of it. Because Xbox is the company that's actually putting out the most games. It wouldn't be good for anybody if Xbox dies. And to see the constant shit out there about, hey, this company is going down because of this or that, or this should go down because of this or that, or they're ruining the industry. Game Pass is ruining the industry. Microsoft is going to use AI to ruin the industry. Microsoft's going to do this to ruin the industry. Xbox is going to do this to ruin the industry. Fuck, man. Just take a step back. Play some fucking games, bro. Like Squad CEO says, bro, I just tuned in and tell me why all my friends think I'm crazy for saying Wolverine game gonna flop. He don't got aura like Spider-Man, am I wrong? I think, like, there's a lot of Wolverine. I don't think it's gonna flop, but, like, I don't get the same excitement for the Wolverine game that I got for, like, the original Spider-Man game. Maybe as it gets closer to launch. I think part of that actually may come from some of the behind the scenes, or like not the behind the scenes, but the leaked gameplay stuff people were seeing early on, where it just kind of looked like shit. I don't know what the actual game's gonna look like, but for earlier stuff that we saw, like there was a lot of running on rooftops and shit as Wolverine, and that just ain't a Wolverine game to me. I ain't running around jumping on roofs, bro, as Wolverine. You know, I'm running around the streets shredding guys up in half and cutting off limbs, and not robot limbs. I'm cutting off flesh. You know, I'm cutting heads off. It's weird that in an Assassin's Creed game, you can actually like decapitate somebody, but you can't in a Wolverine game. You know, like I want that shit hardcore, bro. You know, and maybe it's Marvel, Disney, whatever. You know, give me I want Logan version of Wolverine, but you know, younger. You know, I want it to be hardcore like that kind of shit. And they showed one scene where the claws went through the guy's head, but the rest of it, I saw the gameplay footage they showed. He was cutting off robot limbs. All the limbs that were removable were robots. Were like prosthetics. Maybe that's an option. I don't know. I would rather, dude, Abilu, like, if you go back to some of my podcasts and stuff about, like, dream games and stuff, one of my dream games was Gambit made by Sucker Punch. Because I saw what they had done with Infamous, and I was like, man, you know, they got the Marvel stuff, they're doing that kind of stuff. Man, if Insomniac was doing Spider-Man, I was like, man, if they could do anything, have Sucker Punch make a Gambit game. Because what they did with Infamous was awesome. I loved Infamous. And, dude, what they could do with Gambit, using some of the same style that they did with Infamous, would have been sick as hell, bro. Yeah, we talked about at the beginning, Xboxer Mike. We watched Blessing be like weirdly angry, strangely angry that Jez got the interview instead of people like Schreier and Christopher Dring. I shared a petty post from Christopher Dring that he had deleted. I also showed some other weird hate that was going directed towards Jez. Just some kind of like, it's just weird energy, bro. Like, out there. And like, I'll say this, like, we're all creators in this world on YouTube, and you know, the games media, they're all kind of like, it's like it comes across like he's attacking them with their energy towards him, and he's not a Jez doesn't like go out there and attack people, you know. I'll have that energy for people that are either come across as toxic shit human beings. They just constantly are trying to point things negatively all the time. I have that energy for those kind of people. I don't believe in just spreading constant negativity out into the world for the sake of your own engagement and profit and clicks. And maybe some people are just assholes, and that's what they are, and that's just how their content's going to be, you know. But you know, it's like you meet somebody in real life, right? You give the energy, you get back, right? Somebody's nice to me, I'm like, hey, yeah, you have a nice day, you have a great day. I'll be nice first, you know, whatever. If somebody like is rude, disrespectful, or they just are always constantly negative, I'm gonna talk shit about that person. I absolutely will. You know, I will talk shit. If you're rude, you come across negative, constantly just feeding into like a toxic environment, I'll talk shit about you. You know, but if you're out there just doing your thing, having your own opinions, whatever, you know, like, hey, cool, right? Even if you are negative sometimes, or even if you are critical at different times or whatever. But some people are just fucking pieces of shit, man. Some people are just pieces of shit. And if you see the pieces of shit, you got to call out the pieces of shit. Now, I'm not saying that like Blessing is a piece of shit, right? Because for what he had said, because I don't know the guy. I haven't seen enough of his toxicity and stuff, or anything that he's done enough to like make me get that grander scale thing. I'm just saying that this instance, it comes across like a petty motherfucker. It comes across petty, jealous, and it's a shit take and disrespectful. He should be ashamed for having that take in games media, and maybe hopefully he'll learn from that. Do I think he's a shit human? No. I've seen enough from some other. I think Jason Schreier is a piece of shit. I honestly do. I think he's just a piece of shit person. I think that Christopher Dring is insecure and worries a lot about what people think that are reading his articles, and he gets really sensitive about it. Same thing with Schreier. I think he's overly sensitive about his shit. I think that both of them are very biased and don't like Xbox, don't like Microsoft, and it comes across very clear. And what I don't like most about them is they completely are in denial about that shit and claim to be objective when it's obvious that all of their shit slants one way. Same thing with IGN. I think collectively, a lot of the people at IGN are pieces of shit. There's a lot of shit at IGN people. I've seen them interact to feedback, even just simple feedback on Twitter about, hey, why wasn't this in a video? Like when Jasper made a post about the fact that they left the fact that there's a bunch of games that were coming out and they left the Xbox off of all of them. Or not all of them. Several of them that were coming to Xbox that were also coming to PlayStation Nintendo, they left Xbox off of. Jasper was like, do better or something like that. Like, very simple. And they came after him. Like, people like Max Scoville and other people were like, you're just trying to paint us like we're fucking doing this or that. It's like, bro, he just said do better. Like, do your fucking jobs. You're IGN, the biggest games media site out there. That's what you say constantly. You're the biggest game site out there. That's how you promote yourselves. You should be able to put the fucking logo of the games that are actually releasing on the platform. The same company that also had people in the comments, remember the Xbox was getting Xbox Series X launch time. Their own editors were talking shit about Xbox in the fucking chat because they used the wrong account. And then later, their reviews editor had come out and like said, hey, that's fine that they're doing that. They kind of shit. Like, IGN doesn't need to get the fucking first interview. Why give them that? Why give them that? Why should they? Why should they go to IGN that has been blatantly, obviously biased against Xbox for so many years, the first interview? So again, blessing, like, I don't know what your issue is with Jez there and Windows Central, the fact that it's an actual Xbox site that covers Xbox and Windows, or it's a Windows coverage site that also covers Xbox is how I should phrase that. It's not an Xbox site, you know, it's because that sounds like it's owned by Xbox. Definitely not. But shouldn't that be the people that get the interview with the people that are in charge of the direction of the brand instead of the people that are just always shitting on it? Wouldn't that make more sense? It's a weird take. Weird for Christopher Dring to criticize the interview when he would have gotten the same kind of fucking answers. Jealousy is unfolding at these sites of people like Jez that are doing more work than they are. And that's just honest. You weren't chosen. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, everybody, that is going to do it for this stream. Tomorrow night, we have MavCast. Not to Mav. Fuck, I'm so used to doing MavCast now. Holy shit. This is like... How many have we done? This is the fourth one I've done since the announcement. Fuck. On Friday? Because it was huge news, and there's stuff coming out every day. If there's something else tomorrow, that'd be crazy. We get to talk about it, too. But yeah, tomorrow is not MavCast. I appreciate that. Or, sorry about that. I fucking can't even speak anymore, my God. Thursday night, tomorrow. Fun Speculation Podcast. Holy shit, I got it out. 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in, because we'll have other people's thoughts there as well. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for tuning in to all of these MavCasts the last few nights. And have a good night. We're past hump day. On to Thursday tomorrow. So middle of the week's over. Weekend is on the horizon. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy. Play some games. Peace out. Where's my OBS? There it is. Bye.